My wife thought she had the perfect plan to frame me. She sent her own model sister to our apartment, having no idea I had a little surprise of my own waiting in the wings. See, she never imagined I'd call their dad, and that he was about to record the entire setup. She thought she was laying a trap for me, but she was the one walking right into it. The web of lies she'd spent months building was about to get torn to shreds, and I was going to make sure the one person she respected most in the world had a front row seat for her downfall. For 7 years, I thought my marriage to Sarah was solid. Not perfect, whose life is, but solid. We built a life together from nothing. I worked a demanding job, long hours, tons of travel, but it paid the bills. It paid for our beautiful house, her car, her endless shopping sprees, the life she wanted. And I never complained. I was the provider, and for a long time, seeing her happy was all that mattered to me. I loved her. Or at least, I loved who I thought she was. The cracks started small. So small you could almost tell yourself you were imagining things. A new password on her laptop. Her phone, which always used to be face up on the coffee table, was suddenly face down or buried in her purse. When I'd get home from a business trip, the hugs felt shorter. The questions about my trip felt more like interrogations than actual interest. She'd start making weird comments about my female colleagues, women I'd maybe mentioned once. It was like this cloud of paranoia was rolling in, and it was all coming from her. And then there was her sister, Chloe. Chloe was a lot. The family just called her the model. She'd done a few small local ads and had a big Instagram following thanks to a lot of revealing outfits. Whenever she came over, the whole vibe just shifted. She'd talk to me in a way that was a little too familiar, touch my arm for a second too long. Sarah used to laugh it off, saying, "Oh, that's just Chloe, she flirts with everyone." But lately, I'd catch them in these hushed conversations that would just stop the second I walked into a room. I'd see them give each other these looks, some silent message I wasn't in on. I started to feel less like a husband, and more like a lab rat they were observing. They were studying me, and I had no idea why. Sarah's suspicion just felt fake, like she was building a case for something. I just didn't know what. The moment the trap was officially set was a Tuesday night. I was packing for a 2-day conference about 3 hours away. Sarah was just watching me, leaning against the bedroom doorframe with this weird, unreadable look on her face. She started, her voice a little too casual. Chloe's been having a really rough time. Her roommate's out of town and she's lonely in that big apartment. I just grunted, trying to fold a shirt. That's too bad. I was thinking, she went on, walking over to me. She started helping me pack, which once would have felt sweet but now just felt strategic. Since you'll be gone, maybe she could stay here, to keep me company. My flight was early the next morning, and I was supposed to be back late the following night. I paused. But I'll only be gone 1 full day. You'll be alone for 1 night. I know, but I'm actually leaving tomorrow morning to go surprise my mom. I'll be back the day after you, she said way too quickly. So the house will be empty. It just seems silly for her to be alone when the house is empty. She could water the plants and get the mail. It'd be a huge help. The excuse was so clumsy, just full of holes. She was going to visit her mom 2 states away for a single day? It made 0 sense. A cold knot formed in my stomach. This was it. This was the setup. I looked at her, searching for any sign of the woman I married. But all I saw was a stranger with a badly rehearsed script. My mind was racing. I could call her out right then and there, demand to know what was really going on. But I knew what would happen. She'd deny it, gaslight me, and then accuse me of being the paranoid one. Nope. If she wanted to play games, fine. I'd just play better. I forced a smile. You know what? That's a great idea. Of course she can stay. The place is all yours and hers. The flicker of triumph in her eyes was so obvious, but it was gone in a flash, replaced by a sugary sweet smile. Oh, perfect. She'll be so happy. I'll let her know. Later that night, while she was asleep, I did something I'd never done before. I picked up her phone. The password was Chloe's birthday. I felt sick, disgusted with her, and with myself for snooping. But I had to know. And there it was. In a string of deleted texts I recovered from a cloud backup. Sarah, he bought it. He's gone tomorrow. Chloe. Perfect. I'll be there around 8. Red dress or the black one? Sarah. The black one. It shows more. You know what to do. I need this, Chloe. Don't mess it up. I want him out, and I want him to pay for it. Reading those words felt like a punch to the gut. I want him out, and I want him to pay for it. It was never about cheating. It was about leverage. She wanted a divorce, and she was trying to paint me as the bad guy to take me for everything I had. The anger that washed over me was cold and sharp. The sadness could wait. All I felt was a chilling clarity. The trap was set, and I was about to build a much bigger one. The next morning, I left for my conference. I kissed Sarah goodbye, playing the doting, oblivious husband right to the end. The second I was out of that betrayal felt like a living thing, twisting in my gut. My first instinct was to just turn the car around, to scream at her, to throw her disgusting lies right back in her face. But what would that do? It'd be my word against her and her sister. She would twist it, call me aggressive, unstable. She was already building that story. A simple confrontation wasn't enough. I didn't want a messy fight based on accusations. I wanted cold, hard proof. I wanted to blow this whole rotten scheme wide open, not just for a lawyer, but for the one person whose opinion they cared about more than anyone, their father. Robert, my father-in-law, was an old-school guy, a man of pure principle. He was a retired cop who saw the world in black and white, right and wrong. We'd always respected each other. He liked that I provided for his daughter, and I respected his no-nonsense view of the world. He loved his girls, but he had zero tolerance for liars and cheats. He was my ace in the hole. My hand was shaking when I found his name in my phone. This was it. The point of no return. I was about to set off a bomb in their family, and the fallout was going to be massive. But they forced my hand. I took a deep breath and hit call. Hey, Robert, I said, trying to keep my voice from shaking. I need your help. And I need you to trust me, no questions asked, until you see this for yourself. There was a pause. Son, you sound serious. What's going on? I laid it all out. Sarah's weird paranoia. The hushed conversations. The clumsy lie about her mom. The text messages. The plan for Chloe to come over that night to seduce me on camera. I told him everything. The silence on the other end was heavy. I could just picture him, brow furrowed, trying to process the ugly truth about his 2 daughters. They wouldn't, he started, then his voice trailed off. I could hear the doubt being replaced by this weary resignation, like some part of him already knew it was possible. Sarah has been different. And Chloe, she's always been impressionable. I'm not asking you to believe me, Robert, I said, my voice low and urgent. I'm asking you to come and see for yourself. Be my witness. I'm going to circle back and park down the street from the house around 7:30 tonight. I need you there. I'll let you in the back. You can hide in the study. You'll have a direct line of sight into the living room. They think they're going to record me, but they don't know that we're going to be recording them. Another long pause. Then his voice came back hard as steel. I'll be there at 7:20. He didn't ask another question. He didn't need to. He was a man who dealt in evidence, and I was about to give it to him. The rest of the day was a blur. I drove to a hotel and sat there, staring at the walls, as this cold, calculated rage just hardened inside me. I wasn't a victim anymore. As evening rolled around, I drove back to my neighborhood, my heart pounding with this mix of dread and anticipation. I parked a few blocks away and waited. At 7:21, Robert's truck pulled up. He got out, his face a grim mask. We didn't say a word. I just nodded, and we slipped through the shadows to my back door. The house was quiet. The stage was set, and the audience was in place. I led Robert through the dark kitchen into the study next to the living room. I cracked the door just enough for him to have a perfect view. Stay here. Don't make a sound until I give the signal, I whispered. He just gave me a single grim nod, his eyes already locked on the living room. I went to the liquor cabinet and poured myself a drink, my hands surprisingly steady. I propped my phone up against a stack of books on the mantel, aimed right at the sofa. I hit record. Then, I sat down and waited. At 8:03 p.m., the doorbell rang. I took a slow sip, stood up, and opened the door. It was Chloe. The black dress from the texts was even more something in person. Short, tight, and cut low. Her hair and makeup were perfect. She smelled like a whole bottle of expensive perfume. She looked less like she was dropping by her sister's house, and more like she was showing up for a paid gig. "Hey you," she purred, stepping inside and giving me a hug that was basically a full body press. "Sarah said you'd be here. I thought you had a conference." Her surprise was so fake, but she was a better actress than Sarah. "Flight got cancelled." I lied smoothly. "Weather. Guess you're stuck with me." "Oh, what a shame," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm as a slow smile spread across her face. This was even better than her plan. She didn't have to fake anything. I was already here. She walked into the living room, running her hand over the sofa. "So we have this big house all to ourselves tonight." She sat down, patting the cushion next to her. "Come on, keep me company." I sat, but I left a good amount of space between us. For the next 20 minutes, she really put on a show. She went on and on about how Sarah didn't appreciate me, how I worked so hard and deserved more fun. She kept inching closer, her hand finding my knee. She talked about her own terrible love life, how she could never find a real man like me. Every line was delivered in this breathy, rehearsed voice. It was pathetic. I just played along, giving vague answers, nodding, letting her think her ridiculous performance was working. The whole time, I was aware of two things: the little red recording light on my phone, and her father watching from the shadows. Then she went for the big finish. "You know," she whispered, leaning in so close I could feel her breath on my cheek. "Sarah doesn't have to know everything. Some things can just be our little secret." She put her hand flat on my chest. That was the signal. Right on cue, the front door opened. It was Sarah, walking in with this triumphant, predatory look, her own phone up and recording. Well, well, well," she said, her voice full of fake shock. "What do we have here? I thought you had a conference, honey. Looks like you've been busy." Chloe jumped back, all dramatic, playing the shocked victim. "Sarah, it's not what it looks like. He came on to me." Sarah's smile was pure poison. "Oh, I'm sure he did. Don't worry, Chloe. I've got it all on camera. He's not going to get away with this." I didn't say a word. I just stood up, walked to the mantelpiece and picked up my own phone. "You're right," I said, my voice perfectly calm. "He's not. But neither are you." I turned my phone so they could see the screen and hit play. The video started, clear as day. It showed Chloe arriving. It showed her every move, every touch. It captured every single word of her seduction attempt. Chloe's face went completely white. Sarah's triumphant look just melted into confusion. "What is this? What did you do?" she stammered. "It's called evidence, Sarah," I said coldly. "The truth. Something you two wouldn't recognize." Chloe started crying, this pathetic, wailing sound. "He's twisting it. Sarah, he's twisting it. You told me to do this." "Shut up, Chloe," Sarah shrieked, her panic taking over. "He's the one. He's a liar and a cheat." And that's when the study door opened. Robert stepped into the light. He wasn't holding a phone. He just stood there, his face like stone, his eyes blazing with a kind of fury I had never seen. He looked at Sarah's phone, then at Chloe's tear-streaked face, and then at my phone, still playing the video. The room went dead silent. The only sound was the recording of Chloe's voice saying, "Sarah doesn't have to know everything." Chloe stopped crying. She just stared at her father, her mouth hanging open in pure horror. Sarah looked like What are you doing here?" Robert didn't even look at Sarah. His eyes were locked on Chloe. He took one slow step forward. "I saw everything," he said, his voice dangerously low. "I heard everything. From the moment you walked in that door. Trying to destroy this man. My own son-in-law." He looked at both of them. "My daughters." He spat the word out like it was poison. What happened next was just pure chaos. Sarah, realizing the whole thing had blown up in her face, immediately tried to flip the script. "Dad, he's manipulating you. He set us up. He's the one who's been lying." But Robert wasn't listening. His eyes, filled with this deep, chilling disappointment, were still on Chloe. She was sobbing for real now, pure tears of panic and shame. It was her idea, she wailed, pointing a shaky finger at Sarah. She made me do it. She said she needed a way out. She promised me money. The accusation just hung there in the air. The two sisters, co-conspirators just minutes ago, were now turning on each other like cornered animals. It was ugly and pathetic, and I just stood back and watched the fire they'd lit consume them. You're a liar, Sarah screamed at Chloe. You were always jealous. You wanted him for yourself. Robert took another step forward, and they both went silent. He finally looked at Sarah, and the look in his eyes made her physically flinch. I saw the texts, he said, his voice cracking with anger and heartbreak. I didn't want to believe it. I raised you better. Then he turned back to Chloe. And you have no honor. You'd sell out your own family. To me, you are no longer my daughter. That one sentence just broke everything. Chloe let out this horrible, gut-wrenching sob and just collapsed on the floor. Sarah stood there, her face gray, finally getting it. She hadn't just lost her husband and her cushy life. She'd lost her father's respect. In her greedy, pathetic attempt to... It's been 6 months since that night. The divorce was fast and clean. With my video and Robert's testimony, her demand for alimony and half of everything was literally laughed out of court. She walked away with what she brought into the marriage, which was nothing. I sold the house. I just couldn't be there anymore. Every room was tainted. I talk to Robert every now and then. The calls are a little short, a little awkward, but the respect is still there. He apologized to me for what his daughters did, which he didn't have to do. He told me he hasn't spoken a word to Chloe since that night, and his relationship with Sarah is basically non-existent. She kept trying to spin the story, to make herself the victim, but he saw the truth with his own eyes. Sometimes, I think about the sheer arrogance of their plan. The fact that they thought I was so simple, so stupid, that I would just walk blindly into their trap. They underestimated me. They mistook my loyalty for weakness, my trust for stupidity. In the end, it wasn't my cleverness that caught them. It was their own character. All I did was hold up a mirror. The betrayal hurt, more than I can say. But exposing the truth, watching their world of lies crumble under the weight of their own actions, that's a kind of justice no court can give you. They set a trap for me, but they only ended up trapping themselves. So that's my story. It's crazy how fast your whole life can change. Now I have to ask, what would you have done in my shoes? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories about justice getting served, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for listening.